The tourism industry is welcoming Queensland's successful 2032 Olympics bid. $8 billion is forecast to be injected into the state economy and at least $17 billion nationwide. Joining us live now is Margy Osmond, the CEO of the Tourism and Transport Forum. Margy, I'm so glad to be able to invite you on the program to discuss a positive news story for our struggling tourism industry after so much doom and gloom. Obviously, this is still many years away, but this is great news for your sector and for the country more broadly. Assuming this pandemic is done and dusted by then, and let's all hope that's a safe assumption, when the Brisbane Olympics do roll around, how many travellers do you expect the Games will bring into Brisbane? Do they typically then make a longer trip of it and travel around the country?
Yeah, look, I think the issue here is that Brisbane is intending to deliver this Summer Games for a lot less cash than it's cost previously. But, you know, the benefits in this space will be, you know, somewhere in the vicinity of $17-20 billion for the national economy. It will bring hundreds of thousands of people here. And the trick is getting them to extend their stay and travel a bit more around the country. What we don't know at the moment about travellers is if they're going to make journeys, will they in fact spend longer in the destinations they go to? And that could very well be the case by the time we get to 2032.
It will be a great time for the nation and for Brisbane, no doubt about that. I do need to drag you back to the grim news of the current times. We are seeing flights being dramatically cut, hard borders going up all over the country today. We've just seen Queensland shutting its borders. WA's now got a hard border up with South Australia as of, I think, a few minutes ago. It is obviously such a devastating time for your sector. It's been hit so hard throughout the pandemic. We're seeing Qantas saying it may need to stand staff down without pay. Is that a fair enough approach from the company? The unions are saying, look, we need a JobKeeper style funding situation here. How are you lobbying for this to be tackled at the moment?
Well, look, we've made it abundantly clear for many, many months now, since long before JobKeeper was removed, that from our industry's perspective, the government needed to make an exception and continue it, as say governments like Singapore and in the UK and other places have chosen to do, because they understand the unique vulnerability of our industry. I mean, essentially, every time they lock down a border anywhere in the country, we are the first and most affected entity. And for some reason, we seem to see a confluence between these issues cropping up in the community and school holidays. So we've had literally 3 strikes and you're out. So the last 3 school holidays have all been affected. And I think, you know, most people in the industry would say they have deep fears for what will happen in September. So there is a real and genuine need. You know, JobKeeper or a version of it is not the only answer, but it's the main part of the answer. And you've only got to look at the situation in New South Wales, where the government there could see that very clearly and have worked very hard to get the federal government across the line in a version of Job Saver, if you like. But we need a better version of that and a longer term version of it for our industry.
Yeah, there are a lot of good deals out there. I saw an email just today, Qantas offering, I think it was triple frequent flyer points for people who are willing to actually book a flight in the next year. So there are plenty of incentives out there for people to take that step and to book. But, I mean, we can all understand the hesitancy of plans chopping and changing. People are always worried as well that they might lose the money that they've spent. Can you offer some reassurance to people who might want to travel but don't want to find themselves in a position where they're losing out if they need to cancel? I mean, have we seen the sector more broadly put in a lot of additional flexibility for people so that they can avoid being in a tough position?
Look, I mean, the tourism industry is endlessly flexible, and that is exactly what they've done. There are a whole range of new provisions now in terms of refunds. But I think the other thing critically is that traveller behaviour has changed really radically. In other words, we used to be one of those countries in the world that was well known for booking in advance, well in advance when we were taking a break or travelling somewhere. That's not the case anymore. People are literally booking at the last minute or just turning up, which is some of the feedback we're hearing. But the problem with that is it doesn't allow the industry to prepare for demand. So we've got no idea how many people are going to want to travel or not, or going to want to stay or go or do whatever or attend some sort of attraction. So it's adding a huge level of uncertainty in terms of the industry's capacity to beef up and service and provide the kind of experience that people will want. And this is devastating for so much of the industry. I think, unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of small and medium-sized players send up the white flag in the next month or so.
Yeah, there are plenty of sad stories out there, Margy Osmond. Appreciate you joining us. Appreciate your time as always.
My pleasure entirely. And one final thought, any of our businesses in this industry that are exposed to the international market as their main market, they've been in lockdown for the last 15 months and they're facing the prospect of another 12 months in lockdown. So in terms of assistance, that's why it's so important.
Margy, thank you.